Hi, this is Attila 16 and this is a video guide for a German uh, deck, which I will qualify as armored because it's kind of focusing around the tank. Not in great quantity because it's not a specialized armored deck, but the focus here is really to rely on those heavy German tank over here. It's just that I find that the German armored deck lack proper anti-air and diversity. So this deck, while it's more general, it's just better equipped to support those tank. So let's start by looking at different units I'm putting in there. Okay, first of all, this is infantry command vehicle. It can be practical to put a command vehicle in a town or in a forest. Actually, in a forest, that can be a good idea, even more than in a town, because in the forest, people will have a tendency to think that there's only a vehicle which will hide in a forest as opposed to infantry. So, as a result of this, you might receive cluster artillery, which are kind of useless against infantry. So, it's practical for that matter, but you don't have many of them. So, it's practical but limited. Then I'm using this other vehicle, command vehicle, really fast moving, very reliable and numerous. Then I'm using this troop transport with the 1700 liter of supplies, kind of reliable. Here I'm using a chopper. I guess if you use this deck in a smaller 4v4 match, you should replace one of those chopper by an FOB to last longer. But otherwise, in a 10 versus 10, you can rely on FOBs of other people, or simply call another one, because these chopper have 3,700 liter of supplies, and that's a lot. So you can rely on these to feed your troops. Here, for infantry, I'm relying on Fallschirmjäger boat version, and boat in Futschmillen. Anyway, these infantry are your best hope to capture towns. Very reliable for that. And they have good anti-tank, but not the best. The more expensive version has very good anti-tank though. Then I'm using the Milan 2 anti-tank. It has a good range and a very good AP power. With the rather inexpensive troop transport, I guess I could probably change that for Futsch, which will be faster and more practical that way. Then I'm using Panzer Grenadier with Marder 2. The Marder 2 is very reliable, and actually, while I'm using Panzer Grenadier, it's mostly for the vehicle that I'm using those, because the Marder 2 has a 50mm autocannon, and with 70% accuracy, 50% accuracy on the move, and 6 AP power, a front armor of 10, and 1 HE power, which make them actually extremely good at shooting and killing medium tank or APCs or infantry that comes. So this thing is super good to support your troops. And the front armor also make it able to sustain some damage. Then I'm using the deck grouper. This is a good anti-tank. What's fun about these is that they actually have HE power, which make them able to fire their rockets against infantry in town. That can be useful. I use them sometimes like that, but it's clear that this is a kind of a use which is rather limited and not always a good idea. It's just that when you know the right context where to use that, it can be a cheap but reliable way to use your troops. And of course here the Milan 2, which I spoke about. Okay, I'm using the M110. This artillery doesn't have a fast rate of fire. They only have 2 rounds, which means that you'll need to feed them with either an FOB or your chopper supplies. It's kind of useful because they have 10 HE power, which make them rather effective at clearing a forest from infantry or bombard the towns, but a little less on that aspect, or destroy anti-air. So it's a good complementary force to destroy specific or stun specific targets as your tank are moving forward. Here, the FRP Roland 3. This thing is very effective at shooting down stuff with an accuracy of 65%. It's kind of limited in range, but that's why if you call them, it's best to call them in group of 2 or 4. This way, if the enemy actually target them, you'll be able to shoot them down anyway. It's kind of very good anti-air, but very weak anti-air at the same time, I find. Because as soon as they are spotted, it's like everybody will try to kill them, and they are they're the favorite target of the pack. Because they are really dangerous, but seed planes can destroy them, and it's a unit which is extremely effective if it's used properly, but it's extremely vulnerable to being the focus of all hell, essentially. So it's a bit of a mix benefit to have them. Then I'm using all 3 type of flak gepard, and the reason for this is that each of them are practical in a specific condition or situation. First of all of them are good against chopper. Roland is also okay against chopper, but these are probably more adapted. They are also okay against plane. But the reason why I have all 3 versions, as opposed to only one type, is because the first type here, which costs 45, it's a good static defense. You need to be static to shoot it. So I guess if you deploy them into a zone where you know that you'll receive artillery or that kind of stuff, this is an affordable way to provide anti-air. They are effective and they're doing their job. Second type, this one is a little more effective because it can fire on the move, which is practical to assist your tank in a push forward. So it's kind of useful. But the problem of all those Gepard is that they have a radar. That's why the last version here, it can be practical in very specific condition. Because this one has a Stinger, which doesn't have that much range, but that still provide you some anti-air capacity. And you'll be still having the autocannon here to shoot down those choppers. So you can turn off the radar element of this one and use the Stinger if you feel that they are in danger. Tank. This is one of the best tank that NATO can provide. You only have 2 of them. That's a bit of a problem, but they are worth an army. These guys have 23 AP power, 22 front armor, 70% accuracy, and a pretty good range. They are very mobile, good autonomy, and this is a very good unit. But the main problem with having such a unit is to defend it. So that's why all the anti-air are there before. Also, this is probably not the unit that you will want for all situation because of its firepower and armor. You probably want to use that into an area where the terrain is rather open and they can shoot at the enemy from afar. Now, in contrast, this one is the Kyler, and it's a pretty good tank. I like it. It's not as good as the previous one, but it's much cheaper. And it has an autocannon, which is a rather important characteristic of this tank. It has 12 front armor, the AP power is 15. It's a good medium tank because of the autocannon and the cannon, of course, but you can have a large quantity of them, which in this case is 10 tank. And it's able to deal with most dangerous unit because of the number. It's clear that you won't be able to beat the best enemy tank, but this unit is particularly useful at clearing town, forest, or that kind of close quarter environment. Because it's cheaper, you can afford to lose it, and but it's still pretty acceptable as a tank. But I will say that this is probably your close quarter unit because of the autocannon, which will allow them to destroy many APCs, many choppers, many tank at close quarter. So it's useful for that reason. Then I'm using the Leopard 2A4. This will likely be your main middle game battle tank because this unit has a good firepower of 19, which make them able to deal with most packed tank. It has a good accuracy on the move, good front armor, all things considered. It might only have trouble against the heaviest enemy tank, and the rate of fire is pretty good also. And but it's really the aspect of accuracy on movement which make them rather good to move around all the time. But they are still rather expensive, so you will only have 4 of them in this arrangement of a deck. That's why I'm using the Leopard 2. This is probably the early tank you'll want to use in the battle because they cost less. You can have more, and also they have a rather good firepower here. 16, good front armor, all things considered. It's a pretty good start in the battle, and because of the price, they are more affordable to lose. So this is a kind of a good early pusher if the Kyler doesn't suffice. But I guess the Leopard 2 and the Kyler will be a good way to secure position early without committing too much of a risk. Here I'm using the Fern Spaher or something like that. My German is a little bit rusty. This is a sniper team, very good recon, that's why you use them. They are also stealthy, which means that you'll be able to sneak around without being spotted, and allow your artillery and yourself to figure out where the enemy is and how to take action on it. Here I'm using the Tiger, which is actually a very good chopper to use. It has anti-air, which make them able to deal with scouts or intercept enemy choppers with very good accuracy. Get a limited range against chopper, but that's okay. They also have rockets, which make them able to deal with infantry and light vehicle, and they also have 4 hot 2, which are really powerful, so you'll be able to destroy enemy tank. This is also that has an exceptional optic, which is important in this case. Good autonomy also. This is a very effective scout, which can also serve you to literally stop an entire offensive for a short while, of course. Now that Luch. This thing is super effective at moving around with the road speed of 150, off-road speed of 85, great autonomy, autocannon MG3. These guys, they have a very good optic, which is okay. But what's fun about these is that you can really reach position faster than anybody else and fight there when they don't expect you. Also, they are able to destroy a few vehicles on the way, and they're perfect to surprise and sneak around. At least that's what I do most of the time. Now I'm using here some BGS, which are not a particularly amazing unit, but this is a bit of a complement to my scouting ability from other units. I guess rather limited use, but and they are also rather slow, but they are militia, so not really a fighting force, more a scouting force if you can, which I will rarely use, but they are affordable. Okay, here, Marder VTS1. This thing, I think this is a good unit to actually cover an area. They will be able to deal with infantry and slow down potential vehicle or light vehicle with an AP power of 15 and an HE power of 3. They are really cheap, they don't have much armor, and they don't even have a machine gun, but this is a good unit to cover some area as you're fighting elsewhere. Here, the Weasel 1-2. This is a unit which has a very good accuracy, very good AP power. It can likely kill most tank in one shot. Or near. This thing is very short on autonomy here. But you have 10 missiles, so keep supplies nearby and hide these in the wood where you expect an offensive, or if you want to intercept stuff that it's a bit of a kind of a cheap way to cover area. I guess you can rely on other type of troops or tank for the same purpose, but I guess this one, since it's small, it can actually be less likely to receive a hit on the first shot. It's kind of a useful tool, but I don't use them that much. Here I'm using the BO-105P with 6 missile, 25 AP power, which is really good. Great range, 2.6 kilometer. It doesn't beat the most anti-air, but you kind of call this one in specific contexts where you know that it's safe, because that thing only has a strength of 4, so it's kind of limited. But it's useful in some very rare occasion where you know you can strike an enemy tank force and get away with it. Air Force. So I'm using the Tornado IDS. This thing is one of my favorite plane in this game. It has a 30% ECM, which make them likely to survive, a speed of 1000, which make them reach their target rather fast, and a payload of 500 kilogram bombs, which make them very deadly with an HE power of 15. These things, you call them usually in bunch, if you ask me, and they saved me more than once. And they are expensive, but they are worth every penny, assuming you don't waste them. So it's a very effective unit. Then you have the Tornado ECR, kinda useful to reduce a little the anti-air capacity of the enemy. So it's a good complement to the other ones. And I also have a good ECM here, so you can make the enemy waste a few missiles, but I don't recommend that. So that's it for this German deck, and now we'll just show you this what I will qualify it as an armored German deck, even though it's not specialized. The tank in this are already so good that they are as good as if they were having experience or something. So let's get on with the demonstration of a replay with this deck to show you how it's done. Okay, so let's go with this German deck. In this battle, this is a replay, of course, and I'm deployed in the center while pretty much all the rest of the team are fighting elsewhere. There's a few artillery assisting me, but this is a German armored deck, and I'm fighting in the middle, which is a bit unhealthy. Nonetheless, this battle was rather good. So let's speed it up to start it up. So at the beginning I'm deploying Leopard 2, which are not that expensive, and I guess you can risk it at the beginning as opposed to more expensive units. Then I'm also deploying a few flak Gepard, and I'm helped with a few anti-air from the American. Here I'm moving a Tiger Recon, and you'll see that this chopper will actually serve me a great deal very early on. I'm moving with my Luch over here, not that one, but this one. Very fast moving mobile recon. It's actually super useful. You can get over there really fast. So here with my Tiger, I decided to move all the way forward, move over here with the hope of spotting people on that road. But I actually end up spotting way further, And you can see a pretty big concentration of troops here heading over here. So as a result, I decided to take a big risk, and I call my Tornado IDS. And I send all 4 of them. And I target that road over here because they seem to be heading over there, so that's a good thing. I'm also targeting the road over here, I think. Now, as you can see, that kind of fixed my problem a little. Well, here I have my Luch, which are destroying Tunguska here. And the guy which I just bombarded decided to quit. So that's already one less guy with attention in the center, which is in my favor. But a bit sad for the rest of the match, I guess. But don't worry, it won't show up. It won't appear that way at all. So here I decide to move further, kind of encouraged by the fact that the guy left, and totally unaware of what's over here. But I guess here I have been a little, I guess, took too much of a risk. But my Flag Gepard here killed those Mi-24. I decided to actually harass the enemy on that plateau here. I deployed a few Panzer Grenadier here to slow them down. But I guess at that point I'm perhaps a bit motivated to attack here. My Leopard 2 are really good, but they're not that amazing. And there is a lot of things, so I pull them back. I did kill a few tanks, and my recon did kill a few as well. A few infantry over here. But against T-72BI, that's a bit too much. And also I receive a B5 strike, which ended up being killed by an Avenger, I believe. So I lost one tank. I decided to pull back because this is a bit crazy. Well, here the number of troops advancing start to show. Panzer Grenadier are okay, but they're not that amazing, depending what kind of troops you're facing. Here they are bombarding that town. I think they really believe that I had troops there because of my push here. So my Panzer Grenadier are fighting those LSTR 40. Actually, Panzer Grenadier will be better in the long run, but it's just that now there's starting to be too many infantry around, so they start to suffer a little. And also airstrike don't help. My Flag Gepard here are positioned well to shoot down the planes, or at least prepare those planes to be shot down by something else. Deployed some more Panzer Grenadier here. But it's clear to me that it's not with Panzer Grenadier that you will hold this position. Here my Milan 2 are struggling a little. Seem a little outgunned, and I'm pulling back my Flag Gepard. Here my Leopard 2 are sitting idle until I think about bringing some supplies to fix them. I can see here artillery killing my Panzer Grenadier. That's kind of surprising, but nobody did a thing about this tiger here, which still allow me to have a good view on that plateau. T-72A are not that expensive, but still a good kill for Milan. I brought some deck Ungruppe, and these are not amazing in terms of fighting close quarter, but it's kind of useful to have them nonetheless because they can actually fire on infantry and do some damage. So, and they are a cheap solution to a problem, let's say. The Martyr 2 in this battle, you'll see, will be very important. And a very reliable unit for me. Because right now, I'm facing... might not show, but I'm facing at least 5 different players, which are starting to build up force. I only have a limited assistance of Anya over here. Some Avenger here, but that's not that many troops to assist. And we're receiving a lot of artillery. So I'm starting to take position over here, because with heavier units in that forest can suppress this position here, which is a sound strategy. There's a few ITGM units over there, which are a bit of a problem if you ask me. As for the rest of the front, I guess it's pretty stable. You might notice that we have way more troops on the sides here and over there than in the center. So center is a very secondary front right now for the entire team. So that Martyr 2 managed to kill the ATGM unit here. And these two are suppressing that position here. Still bringing more Panzer Grenadier. My goal here is not really to push them, it's mostly to slow them down. Because fighting in the center with an armored German deck is not ideal. I deployed a few Martyr here just in case, so they can fire on any infantry which will try to sneak by, as well as slow down any enemy units here. There's also some TO1Vs which are well placed to kill expensive thing that will come. You can see here that many rounds actually converging on my troops as soon as they show up. On top of that, we have a lot of artillery falling. And we currently don't have much counter-artillery fire falling on them. So that's not necessarily a good thing. Somebody is shooting cluster artillery on the infantry, which is even more concerning. So now I'm bringing some Fallschirmjäger because I kind of want to hold this part of the town instead of that one. You can see a lot of artillery is falling on us. There's at least 5 enemies which were fighting us, and 6 if you include the artillery which is away. Just look at that, a lot of mortar here. Some more mortar here, artillery here. So that's 3 players. Then you have 2 guys here. So that's already a couple of people. And you can see that my Fallschirmjäger are mostly suffering from those artillery strikes. So I'm removing them as I see the artillery fall on specific positions. But a plane finished the job on my Fallschirmjäger, sadly. Because I did not have sufficient amount of anti-air forward here. But bringing some will not have served much purpose. Because as you can see, there wasn't any more infantry units in this zone other than mine. And the center, if you look on the map, it's starting to look much more blue, which means my troop only. Had some weasel toe here, but I probably should have pulled them back. So as you can see now, the thing is that in this place, as the enemy move toward here, it becomes a fight which is a bit more adjusted to an armor deck, because as soon as they show up, they'll get slaughtered by all the cannons here. The only problem is that then you end up receiving all the artillery on the head. And here my Fallschirmjäger are surprising these guys. You can see the deck group and fire their rockets on infantry over there. Well, here you can see our TOW firing on incoming troops from that direction. Now, after dropping off my troops, I decided to pull back my martyr, because this way I can reduce my loss a little. And here I'm pushing forward just to take potential gain from you know, anti-air or that kind of stuff, but it's clear that here a lot of units, heavy units, are around. Nonetheless, my anti-tank deck group are killing a couple of vehicles. Nothing too heavy, but still. And also they provide me a good insight in what's going on over there. Here I decide to bring my tornadoes, because I haven't used much anti-air against these guys here. So I'll do a strike on their position here to weaken them a little. As you can see, that kills a lot. And I don't think I lost much. Starting to have a mini martyr here in reserve, as well as a command vehicle in case I lose mine. Now they're starting to rely a little bit more on planes. In a strange way, I guess. Probably wanted to test out our air defense. The thing is that if you call in an Su-27 and there's nobody using Air Force, I guess it's not necessarily useful. Here I'm spotting a UAV. can see that having tested our anti-air, they're bombarding stuff already. We're relying a lot on mortars. Okay, here I'm calling another airstrike. I'm not sure where this time though. I think it's still in the center. My other planes were probably being fixed. The reason why I call them that fast is it's because this way I know that there's not much anti-air over there. So by calling them in, I can still bombard. Did kill a couple of expensive infantry in there, a few flamethrower tank here. The thing is that with the airstrike I did previously, there wasn't much defense, so as a result I wanted to take the opportunity to strike again prior to them beefing up their anti-air capacity. I'm pulling back my Gepard. At some point in this map, when you know that they are over here, you might as well pull back your troops, because it's not necessarily useful to leave your vehicle in a forest that everybody knows you're there and just let them die under artillery fire. So you might as well pull back. After an artillery strike, I'm deploying some Dekungruppe. Also here I decided to call in a few Marder VTS just in case that some infantry will sneak by in here, because it's like this thing is lightly defended. But for the moment they're all focusing here. And bombarding, of course. They're using their scout to spot target. Here I actually did the call to remove our troops from there because I knew that artillery will be coming. Oh, that's it was close here. I could lose a leopard. So I'm shooting the Mi-2 to remove those anti-air, which were a pain. At that point, they are starting to build a force to attack me. Now, if we take a look, you can see how much stuff there is here compared to what I have. Even here, it's like they're well deployed all over the place. Wrong player. Let's see. There we go. Now, I have a little artillery support, but it's not doing much so far. You can see on the other end that they do have a lot of artillery support. They are bombarding here. Now, what becomes important here is my Marder 2. These guys end up being my main defense here. Because just by deploying them here, first of all, they end up not being the main target of the enemy artillery. And secondly, Marder 2 are really effective against infantry. So as a result, they end up shooting and destroying a lot of infantry. Well, here they decided to push on me, and my Marder 1A3 killed a few, as well as my leopards, but leopards too are starting to be a little underpowered compared to the Wilk, let's say. Well, they're similar, but it's just the number of enemies. So you can see here Martyr 2 shooting infantry and their rank being reduced rather quickly. And there's also my anti-tank infantry, which is over here, that helps. VDVs are really dangerous, especially against vehicle. You can see them, they killed the Leopard 2 and 2 vehicle here. There's a constant rain of artillery falling on me. They prioritized my anti-air, which is a smart strategy. And here I'm actually starting to build up a tank force, because I have a German armored deck. And my hope was to actually surprise them, so let them come. And as they come, I will climb the hill with all my force and hopefully destroy them. Which could have worked, but we'll see if it does. Now they are moving forward with the infantry. Sadly, I exposed my Leopard a little too much there. I'm sending some Martyr 183. Sadly, I told Anya to remove his Avenger, which she did, but I forgot to stop my Martyr from going in there and becoming exposed. Now at that point I decided to call in my M110 and I started to bombard specific targets, like their artillery over there. No, actually that wasn't it. What was I bombarding here? Not sure. I guess it was random bombardment. But at that point I kind of figured out that they were starting to get interested in that position here. The movement. Well, here I spread out my Futschmillen. Brought some Gepard here. You can see here my main force ready to act. Some enemy infantry coming up the hill, which my Martyr are now shooting at. Some artillery or something destroying my Milan. Now you can see that as soon as they saw stuff, they started bombarding. Now here I'm reacting to some Wilk with my Kyler. This started to be a little dangerous. So with number I didn't manage to use those Kyler to beat those Wilk. You can see that it's clear that they are starting to interest themselves to that position quite a bit. But it's clear that here my move with my Kyler was largely a way to cover my Leopard 2 movement to come and protect that position there. So kill the enemy tank here. And started to destroy those tank over there. The fact that I came from here is actually pretty good for my angle because they were smoking over here. So by coming from the side there, I end up being able to shoot them as they come up the hill. And of course the artillery follows. Now one thing which was dangerous is they had a few ATGM infantry in there. You can see that my Leopards 2 are doing a good job on those T-55 AM2. It's just that under artillery fire and now chopper support starting to be a little too much. That's why I'm targeting that chopper with my bombers. Now they got the command vehicle. And they are counter artillery. Yeah, they're shooting back at my artillery, which is moving, fortunately. While here my Leopard 2 is now alone defending that place. So I'm calling in some Leopard 2A4, which are heavier and better. I lost my last Leopard to their choppers. But I'll come and retake that position, or at least make a mess. The problem is that as soon as they have that position, they have an angle on this position here. So this is problematic. Now those Avenger managed to hunt down those chopper, which I was really grateful for. Now these Leopard 2 are heading toward the battle here. It's clear that these guys were really relying on artillery, just with the amount of recon. But because I'm using a German armored deck, artillery is not that much of a concern, to be honest. Especially when it's mortar. Can annoy my tank a little, but it's not that critical. Okay, here I went a little too far on the side, so a few of my tank took hits on the side. But with Leopard 2A4, you're kind of fine against T-55. Here I received some assistance from a guy. I don't know why he came to help out with tanks and got destroyed like that. To be honest, I really don't get it. I think that was all his contribution to the defense of this area. To get destroyed like this. Few T-34, which are not much of a problem for Leopards. A couple of Schutzen in there, as well as ATGM. So I decided to pull back because now some of my tanks are rather damaged. And I'll bring some supplies from somewhere. Yeah, there we go. To fix my tank. Now they're trying again to climb up that hill, but those Martyr 2 are once again hurting them a lot. So they pull back again. On top of that, I seem to be firing with my artillery. I seem to have lost one piece of artillery, and that's it. Now, they're coming a little bit more now. My rolling 3 are shooting them down, but while doing so they attract some attention. Now you can see the problem I have now is that they're starting to hold that position, and that exposed this flank here. Well, here I decided to deploy some anti-air infantry, this way that will cover this area from enemy choppers. And I unloaded some Milan, this way that will perhaps intercept a couple of vehicles that will use that road to get here. Now some assistants came here, but too few in number and too low in quality and without proper recon support. Well, here big artillery strike, which doesn't prevent my Martyr 2 from shooting down those enemy infantry. There's also a couple of Humvees MK19, which are actually really good at killing infantry. Grenade launcher in this game are really effective. A couple of anti-radar planes here. I shut them down, which was very fortunate, but they likely killed a Gepard over here. But the thing is that the Gepard is really a kind of cheap way to shield your Roland. So this way the seaplane will fire on the Gepard and not the Roland. But you can see that they are a bit annoyed by my Roland now, so they're bombarding them. Not that bombardment is anything new so far. Now my Leopards here are fixed, so I'm engaging again. While here I'm trying with my Martyr to kill whatever shows up here. It's a bit vain of an attempt, I must say, but it seems that the enemy doesn't have missiles. So Martyr can be a good solution. So my Leopard 2A4 are engaging over here and clearing the place. One of my tank took a hit on the side, but I still managed to kill those T-55. Now, because I'm kind of relying a lot on those Leopards to hold that area from completely collapsing and allowing the enemy to go all the way here, kind of I play safe with those Leopards. Well, here I don't have much tank remaining, mostly I have APCs and a few Kyler. So the big push from as a reaction to their push is not happening. Now here comes the push finally. Now I decide to move in with some Leopard to A4, but to be honest, here I did a mistake. I sent them on the side of the hill, hoping that I will be able to crush them. While here I wasted my tornado by not doing fire on position, which is an extremely silly mistake on my part. And you can see that because of the fact that they're coming in large number, they're killing my Leopards a bit too early to my liking. And also the fact that the enemy comes here and my Leopards' flank are exposed, so that's pretty bad. Now, because of the amount of enemy, I decided to pull back with those Leopards while leaving these here to their doom. I call in some anti-tank choppers. My martyr seem to be doing a good job. I'm engaging my martyr here. My Kyler are also fighting now to hold the position. But the problem with the martyr in that situation is that because it's close quarter fight, their missile don't reach their target because the enemy get destroyed first. But because of the number of them, I guess some of my missile end up hitting. Now they are also pushing up here. And those Leopard 2A4 I pulled back are truly the one doing the job. Because from here they have a good angle on that position. Also brought my artillery to fall there and stun them. We have a couple of heavy hogs suppressing their advance here. Couple of AV hogs here as well. While my Leopards 2A4 here are shooting down those Chumnao. But under the pressure, that was perhaps a little too many tank for my force. I still did manage to hold the charge here. At that point, I'm pulling back my Leopards to be facing these guys here. Now I'm moving them forward, but to be honest, I probably should have just left them here. They had the range to kill them. And a lot of those Chumnao and T-34 were just no match for my tank. So I guess here another mistake. I probably should have kept my distance. While here, big mistake. I sent my command vehicle toward the enemy. Big mistake because I should have moved them into the zone and then I would have been able to recapture the place, I believe. Now here with those Leopard 2A4, I move in with the hope of shooting as many enemy as possible in the back. While here I correct my mistake by pulling back. I bring many choppers to kill those tanks. Perhaps a little too close. Could have kept a longer distance. While here my tank are a bit overwhelmed still. But they're killing many. Now the thing is that most of their tanks which are moving forward here are T-34, so not a particularly amazing tank to kill. While here these tanks are receiving a really impressive amount of firepower on the head. Yet they are still resisting, but not anymore. Under the pressure it was kinda too hard for them. At least for their armor. Here some of my choppers are still destroying a large amount of tank, but all this is a lot of cheap stuffs. So I'm a bit wasting good units. It's just that, you know, sometimes it's best to waste good units against small, cheaper unit and hold the position than don't hold the position and lose everything. Now the chopper push is coming. They're taking advantage of the opening. Now these Leopard 2A4 are still holding, but with all those chopper it's a bit hard. I'm bombarding, not sure where. I guess over here, slow them down. But at the moment I'm really relying on my choppers and they're killing a lot of tank. And that is it. So let's see. I killed 9,591 enemies and I lost 8,000. And while this is pretty even as a score, I was pretty much alone most of the fight and with an armored deck in the center. So I guess that went well. And as you can see, I really had much more of a fight than anybody else in the battle. Now let's see who did what. You can see here Tiger, that's my early scout. I guess he should be credited with all the following kills here. But you can see that Tornado did a great job at killing a large amount of stuff down there. Here Luch, that's my recon, killed a Tunguska, that's important, and a few recons. Gepper did kill a lot of planes. Leopards killed a few things, nothing that important. My anti-tank infantry killed a few flamethrower tank. Panzer Grenadier Leopards too. These are likely my early Leopards, killed a few things but nothing important. Fallschirmjäger did kill a few elite, specialized units. And let's see, Martyr 2. These did a very good job. These were likely the one on the top of the hill, and they killed tank, infantry, many Chumnaho. My artillery did kill a few things, but nothing that meaningful. Kyler did kill a few Wilk. That's pretty good. Leopard 2 did the job against T-55. They got ultimately destroyed. Leopard 2A4 did a lot of good kill on those T-55 and anti-air and a lot of different things. Here, Leopard 2A4 again. I said 5 before, anyway. A lot of tank here. As you can see, this one did his duty. Some more kills here. Another Leopard 2A4. Killed a lot of Chumna. Of course, Chumna are not that expensive, and all those kills are not that expensive, I guess. But that's still many kills. Here my chopper to the rescue. And here mostly choppers, but these are rather cheap kills, so I'm not sure if that was really that worth it. And I did lose quite a bit of troops. As you can see, that goes on and on and on. I guess what hurt me the most was the choppers. A couple of tank, a lot of infantry, yeah. But I guess toward the end, it's the chopper that hurt me. So that was a pretty good demonstration of how to use a German deck in a rather unusual situation for an armored deck, let's say. And that was also a pretty good use of the map, and there was at least 5 or 6 enemy. So that was a rather challenging experience, pretty good fun. And I'll see you on my next video, I guess.